Go.
Hello, once again, this is Dr. Jose M. Oclarit of the Matias H. Asnar Memorial College of Medicine, a professor of biochemistry and physiology. I would like to discuss a little bit of COVID virus as regards to the pathological report that was circulated around. It was found out that in the reports, about 50 cadavers were autopsied and examined the actual cause of death of those who were contaminated with COVID virus. It was found out that the pathological report said that intravascular coagulation, or in a term called DIC. In other words, if you are going to look at it, the cause of death is not respiratory disorder rather than a cardiovascular disorder. What do you mean by that? A disseminated intravascular disorder is a process by which blood coagulates due to the overactivity of the immune system causing the coagulation of blood. And you see, the hemostatic function of coagulation is a mechanism by which it is a protective mechanism by one system in the cardiovascular, which is due to the interpretation of the system that the vascular system is rapidly degraded by in the blood vessels. And so once there is now a endothelial damage of the blood vessels, the immune system reacts by producing what you call the coagulation factors in order in an effort to plug whatever is damaged in the blood vessels. So, in other words, there are a set of chemokines by which the red blood cells will eventually coagulate in order to stop the bleeding. That's why you will notice that the persons who died of COVID virus are characterized by massive bleeding, in which case massive bleeding due to the damage on the endothelial lining of the blood vessels. And which are the factors that causes the damage? These are actually the toxins that were produced by the COVID virus as it enters into the host. Because as what I have mentioned last time, when the virus enters into the host cells, it will sequester the machinery of the host to produce the proteins that the virus dictates. And one of the proteins that the virus produces are those that destroy the vascular system. That's why the person died of, why is it that the elderly or the 60 years old and above are prone to easily succumb to the virus? It is because people with 60 years old and above have already some risk factors as regards to maybe some of them are already hypertensives or diabetics or other what you call the systemic respiratory or cardiovascular disorders. That is why 60 years old and above are susceptible to this because of this DIC. So in other words, the person with COVID virus and died of that is due to the cardiovascular problem rather than on respiratory. In which case, if that is the cause of death, then no amount of intubation or oxygenation could help, because in the first place, even if you intubate it, there is no more oxygen that goes into the system because the blood vessels are already clogged because of coagulation. So in which case, the person might die of multiple organ failure because of this DIC phenomenon. So in other words, if you are going to look at it at this point in time, the first approach, as I said, is to really make your blood alkaline so that once the blood is alkaline, it prevents the coagulation of the red blood cells. Therefore, the DIC will be prevented. Another is, of course, to give them, that's why maybe one of the managements that we can do is to really give them anti-inflammatory to prevent the cellular damage of the endothelium so that it will not cascade into the production of chemokines that storms in order to prevent the coagulation. So in which case blood thinners could be used as a case, or vasodilators. In this case, nitric oxide is a very potent vasodilator. Nitric oxide is also termed as the endothelial derived relaxing factor, in which case it is derived from the amino acid arginine, in which case these arginine are then converted through the action of calmodulin and calcium ions. It will be converted, and the action simultaneous with the what you call this enzyme that converts the arginine into nitric oxide. So my dear fellow in the academic community, I would like to suggest that we are going to address this particular issue based on the pathological report that had been conducted on those who died of COVID virus. See, it is more of cardio problem rather than on respiratory. But it would appear as respiratory because of massive bleeding in the lungs, because it also affects the endothelial linings of the lungs, and then it spreads into the vascular system throughout the body. So thank you very much, and may God bless us all.